Are you kidding me? 0? Not even 1th or 2nd, but 0. This is crazy. When we feel like we are given a new lease on life, I believe that you can radically shift the things that make you who you are. That's why I was really curious about taking Jordan Peterson's Big 5 personality test. Just 8 years ago, I was enlisted in the United States Navy in the submarine force. A couple of years prior, my 6-year-old daughter went into the ER with a tummy ache and came out with cancer. I didn't want to re-enlist in the Navy, but then whenever my daughter got cancer, the Navy took care of 100% of her medical bills. I wasn't paying for out of pocket. Her mom wasn't paying for out of pocket. My daughter was getting treatment. She went through chemotherapy. She went through radiation. She went through bone marrow transplant. All of these things that racked up a huge amount that were all taken care of by the Navy. This meant that I had to stay in. Now let's fast forward a couple of years. Today, she is a healthy 17-year-old. But at the time, I was still in the Navy and I felt trapped. There wasn't anybody that was going to be able to pay for her medical bills if I got out. And so I spiraled into a deep depression. I began to use cocaine. I remember showing up to the command and they told me that I had to go and see the JAG officers and the Master Chiefs. And I remember walking in with my little Dunkin' Donuts cup of coffee, and I sat down at this long boardroom table. And it was just Master Chiefs all down this thing with a JAG officer right in front of me. I don't know if you've ever been pulled over by a cop and you see the red and blue lights behind you and all of a sudden your butt goes numb. You're like, oh my gosh, your whole body goes in this freak out mode. Well, it was like that as I sat down, and it was like tunnel vision. It was like, and all I remember is the JAG officer across the table was asking me, Petty Officer Perry, can you explain to us why you popped positive for cocaine on your urinalysis test? I was caught, I was busted. The point that I'm bringing up, as soon as I was released and got out of the Navy, I quit using cocaine, I quit smoking cigarettes. It was like I had a total transformation of myself because I had this new lease on life. I have since restarted my life, gone to film school, got myself a bachelor's of science in cinematography. I have made multi-millions of dollars in high-ticket sales for various digital marketing consultancies. But the point is that I would not have been able to do those things if I didn't radically make a shift in how I was choosing to show up. And so I'm very curious what these results are for the Big 5 personality test. I'm seeing these for the first time along with you. Good luck with your expanded self-understanding. Now, that's a big key point right there, self-understanding. Socrates was very famous for saying, know thyself. That was his maxim, that was his motto, know thyself. And a lot of people don't want to know themselves. They lie to themselves. They will tell themselves false truths. They will live in a world of delusion rather than facing the truth about who they are. And I'm including myself in that. When I was in the Navy, there was certainly a level of delusion that I had about myself. Socrates is also famous for saying, the unexamined life is not worth living. And I know that the ego, the side of ourselves that really feels like it's important to let the world know who we are. It's our sense of identity. It's our sense of self. When we are going in and we are tweaking things to help our personality go in a certain direction, that the ego does not want to get nailed down. It does not want to be defined. If you can define it, then you can claim it and you can do what you want with it. But just like Jordan Peterson says, surely you've known yourself by now that, you don't do what you tell yourself to do.
Because you know what you're like. You won't do what you're told. You won't do what you tell yourself to do. You must have noticed that. It's like you're a bad employee and a worse boss. And both of those work, for you. You don't know what you want to do, and then when you tell yourself what to do, you don't do it anyways. You should fire yourself.
If you try to tell yourself to do something, it doesn't want to do that. You don't want to listen to yourself. And so the people who have gone through lots of discipline and many, many years of just reinforcing positive habits have been able to take that under control. But if you're just approaching this for the first time, then you realize that pesky little ego doesn't like to be defined. And in fact, it took me forever to even do this personality test, even though I've known about it for, I think, 2 or 3 years, because I unconsciously, deliberately didn't want to find out about myself, because then I would have to face the truth about myself. And sure, there would be some positive things in there, but there was also going to be some negative things that, if I'm honest, I didn't necessarily want to confront. And so here we are. Agreeableness, exceptionally low. Oh my gosh, zeroth percentile. 0th percentile. Are you kidding me? 0? Not even 1th or 2nd, but 0 in agreeableness. This is crazy. People with exceptionally low levels of agreeableness do not at all easily forgive. They are definitely not accepting, flexible, gentle, or patient. They feel minimal pity for those who are excluded, punished, or defeated, and attribute such problems to weakness or inability. Oh my gosh, I do. I do see that as weakness, and then I also have a form of contempt for that. Very interesting. Which is ironic, because I teach people how to get out of these situations. I teach people how to get better. I teach people. So maybe this is something that I need to work on. Compassion, exceptionally low. I'm low in compassion too. I don't know how I feel about this. Remember I just got done talking about how you don't want to face hard truths about yourself? Wow. Politeness, exceptionally low. 1st percentile. This is blowing my mind. Conscientiousness, moderately high. Okay, finally, a statistic that I think makes sense. This first, big 5 personality trait, basically I said I had 0. 0 compassion. 0 agreeableness. Just 0. 0. I know I've said that 5 or 6 times now, but I am shocked. I knew that I was not agreeable. I just didn't know that I was so not agreeable as to having none. I thought that I had at least some. Okay, very interesting. But conscientiousness, 66th percentile. This is something to work with. There's room for improvement. I want this to be high. Moderately conscientious people are more likely than average to obtain higher grades in academic settings, particularly if they are also intelligent, which is true. I did have really high grades in school. And to make competent administrators and managers. I don't like to be managing though. They like to have everything in its proper place, but are not particularly obsessed with detail. They tend to do things by the book. Moderately conscientious people are somewhat prone to guilt, although they organize their lives so that they have comparatively little to feel guilty about, which is true. Think about this. And this is true when it comes to wealth and the accumulation of wealth. If you do not feel congruent and in alignment with the amount of value that you put out into the world, that you feel is over and above what is expected, and the amount of money that you're receiving, then you will feel guilty if you're not doing that. And you put out 1 million freaking YouTube videos, and you've gotten 1 or 2 likes or 1 or 2 views, and then all of a sudden you blow up. When you blow up, if you've been doing YouTube for, say, 2, 3, 4 years, I haven't, but I'm just saying as an example, consistently, and then you blow up, quote unquote, overnight, are you going to feel guilty for having all of those views, or will you feel justified in getting that feedback? The same is true here. Extroversion, moderately high. 72nd percentile. People who are moderately extroverted don't often keep things to themselves, tending instead to share what they are thinking with everyone. I love to do this with either a Facebook Live or to record a new YouTube video on the things that I'm learning. I love sharing what I'm learning with my audience and with whoever chooses to view these videos. People moderately high in extroversion have a tendency to be impulsive, particularly when it comes to having fun in social situations. They are somewhat more likely to sacrifice the future to the present when something social or group-oriented beckons. This is true. This is very true. I'll have a plan, and I'll say, I'm going to stick to this plan. And then something incredibly awesome and compelling, some social event will call me out, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not doing my routine tonight. Yeah. Hey, now I know what I need to work on. This is great. I don't want to look at neuroticism because I know that's the one that's coming up next. So I'm going to just come down to openness. So I was able to pass neuroticism. I don't know what my neuroticism score is. Openness to experience, exceptionally high in the 96th percentile. I will take that. Good pat on the shoulder. This is creativity. So openness to experience is a measure of interest in novelty, art, literature, abstract thinking, philosophy, as well as sensitivity to aesthetic emotions and beauty. They are almost always prolific readers and are interested in a vast range of topics. They have an exceptionally broad and deep vocabulary. They can think and learn remarkably quickly. They are unusually proficient at formulating new ideas and can be exceptionally articulate, particularly if average or above in extroversion. People exceptionally high in openness can see old things in remarkable ways, which, by the way, is a big, big positive advantage in marketing, because all marketing is just taking old concepts, old ideas, putting a new skin on it, putting a new spin on it, and then marketing it to the masses. There's really nothing new under the sun, but just repackaging of old ideas. They will constantly seek change, often to make things better, but also just for the sake of change. God, yes. Totally. I will take a different route to get to the grocery store just to change things up. All right, last but not least, we're going to look at the last of the big five, and that is neuroticism. Let's find out. I will find out what I am here in just a second. Neuroticism. Oh, thank God. 59th percentile. I was concerned that it would be very high. People with average levels of neuroticism appear to neither seek risk out nor avoid it. They are interested in security, but can also handle recreational, career, financial, and social situations where the possibility of loss is higher. Such people appear to be concerned both with maintaining their current status as well as enhancing it. This is a reasonable strategy in genuinely dangerous or uncertain times and better times alike. I like this because I was concerned that I would be high in neuroticism because at times I do have severe bouts of depression, but this makes sense to me because I think that there's no way to avoid negative emotion. If you're alive and you're a human being, you're going to experience negative emotion. There's no way to get rid of it completely. Instead, it needs to be a dichotomy that is managed. I think that this is actually a very healthy way of looking at neuroticism. Basically, you're happy with what you have, but you're also expecting more. So it's this dichotomy. So those are the results of my Big 5 personality test from Jordan Peterson. What I believe is that these results are completely different than the person that I was when I first left the military. And they're completely different than the person that I was when I was in high school. And they're completely different than the person that I was when I was in middle school. And I believe that through different books, seminars, mentors, and podcasts and audiobooks, that I've been able to brainwash myself to the point where I lean towards thinking more positively than negatively. I just have laid down more wire in the positive dimensions of my mind that I believe can affect my personality here. I think that it's interesting. In the next 10 years, is my personality going to be different than it is today? And I would argue that yes, 100%, my personality will definitely change. I don't know about how much, It might change a little to the left, it might change a little to the right, but I think that this is a continual process of sharpening ourselves and becoming a better version of ourselves every single day. This has been Jordan Peterson's Big 5 personality test. It's taken me a lot of years to be able to finally do it, but now that I have, I'm glad that I did, and I'm so surprised that I have a 0 in agreeableness. I mean, I don't even have any, but a 0. That was shocking to me. But now I get to come to terms with it, and I know that if I'm going to be in business and I'm going to be working with other people, this is something I'm going to need to definitely work on. You tell me, have you taken Jordan Peterson's Big 5 personality test? What did you get? Were you shocked at some of the things that you found out about yourself? Do you think that you'll be able to change your personality willingly and methodically over the years? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.